name is Peter Gardner, pioneer minister to the visual arts community in Glasgow, employed by the Church of Scotland, and part of that is to work alongside my wife Heidi as a collaborative arts practice called Gardner Gardner. For the last 20 years we have worked together. Our arts practice overlaps our two skill sets and our own artistic vision for the world, and the way we combine our practice in terms of understanding and vision, it's seamless the way it seems to work between us. And sometimes the ideas come from different places. Sometimes Heidi is the ideas generator, sometimes myself, but we work on the process together, and it's together that the concepts are developed, and then the concepts become teased out until the work is finally realised and completed. I've been a minister in the Church of Scotland for 28 years, and throughout the length of that time I've always been working creatively, exploring the edge of what is possible creatively within the format of church services and within the format of a life of a congregation. In year 2000 I took study leave, went to art school, to foundation art school, and that really kicked off our practice. It began with making installation works in a small way within various church sanctuary spaces, and grew over the years to become a huge part of the work we do together. Visual art changes the way you express yourself and communicate within in churches, where you can create works that are open-ended and that allow people to come in and to engage with the work. It is turning the experience of coming to a church similar to the experience of coming to a gallery, where you engage with an artist through the work that's made. And that's the idea, that people can engage in whatever level they can with something that has been created. Sometimes we try and think too much about the works of art. We want to pin them down and have them decided, this is what it means, this is what it is, rather than encountering whatever is there and letting it affect us, or letting ourselves engage with it and discover more about the work ourselves, the world it's made, and the one who's behind the making. As the cultural events around the Commonwealth Games were being planned, I was looking for a piece to create, to engage people in a difficult process or difficult challenge of doing something that would build peace. At the same time as the Commonwealth Games preparations were going on in Glasgow in 2014, there were a number of conflicts around the world that were exploding into different levels of suffering for people. Ukraine, Syria were two that come to mind still, and people I found didn't know what to do. So I looked for something that would involve small actions and kind words, things that anyone can do. How can we share peace? How can we pray for peace in a very practical, simple way? Over the years, the Peacemaker's Loom has become quite a powerful thing for me, quite a powerful object, and has layers of meaning within it. Personally, it started a real radical edge to my thinking of how we work as artists, and how I work as a minister, emphasising the role of a practice of listening, a disciplined practice of listening, of letting other people speak. And it's really interesting when you start listening attentively to the people around about you, because you start to hear people speaking in their own voices to themselves. As folk articulate what they believe or what they're feeling or what they're going through, they start to express something more about themselves. And it's not about my hearing what they've said, it's about them hearing what they've said. And sometimes you can even hear hints of the voice of God speaking to them in their own words, and other folk can hear that. They can hear it themselves. It's very moving. And it made me realise that in everything we do, whether I'm as a minister, as a practice, as an artist, the role of creating points of engagement are really vital. And a lot of our art now is about creating points of engagement. Our art is site-specific. We create installations in particular places that examine the space and examine the context in which that space is in. It might be in a church, or it might be in a secular space or a gallery space. But as we explore that space and create something within it, the aim is, the intention is to somehow engage with people as they encounter what we create and as they walk into the space or they sit in a space. And that is a challenge, but it's also changed the way I work. And that means immense amounts to me. I can't really describe how much it's given to us. We often talk about how the loom has given so much more to us than we ever gave to the creating of it, because it's been such a generous piece for us. And so much so that we want generosity to always be around this particular piece, so that it becomes a gift rather than a contract. And I think relationships should be like gifts rather than contracts, where gift and gratitude go hand in hand. Trying to plan where the loom might go next is interesting. Trying to balance two things. On one side, there's a sense I would like as many people as possible to experience what it's like to be listened to and to be part of this peacemaking project of listening to people and praying with others for peace in a very simple and accessible way. I'd like other people to experience that, but at the same time, the other side of the balance is it was a gift, and therefore I don't want to force it to develop and grow. I'm quite challenged by the kind of trajectory that often people would have for a piece like that, where they imagine maybe in 10 years' time there could be 400 looms. I don't think that's right at all. I think it has to grow, if it grows at all, more organically. It's to do with where is the right place for it to be next, and under what conditions would it work. We've tried the loom in 3 different sacred spaces, church spaces, and they've all had a complete different feel to them, and the way that people have engaged with the work of the Peacemaker's loom has been slightly different. There's been similarities, the same listening, the same discovery of what it's like to be listened to, and then the invitation for people who have been listened to listen to other people. As we talk about, the guest becomes the host, and then the next guest learns to be the host, and that's quite a lovely thing to see. But that sense of discovery is what I expect for the loom next. I expect there to be some surprise as to where it will be. I've been intrigued to see what it would be like in a completely non-religious space, to see how that would work, and without the background and context of a sacred building, a church, around it, what kind of questions and conversations would arise in that context, and what would praying for peace be like in that context, as the simple action and of the stitch and the kindness of the words are heard and said. What would that be like in a different kind of space? It often strikes me that galleries, like churches, are the sacred spaces of today, They have that same sense of awe when you go in and appreciating something other than yourself. People often talk in a whisper as if they're in somewhere that's different from normal. And the experience in it is a different experience you would have from the rest of life, rest of the days. So I wonder what that would do to the Peacemaker loom if it was there as a piece of art and something that people can touch and interact with. It's curious that most art in galleries you cannot touch, but yet the Peacemaker's loom and the wool it produces is very tactile. It needs to be touched. The sense of handling and touching is really a vital part of the experience, and it's through touching that people discover the use of the wool and what it feels like. I vividly remember one man who came in when the wool was rolled in a huge ball, maybe about a metre across, of wool, and he embraced it. And he was crying as he embraced it, and I looked away and left him for a minute or two, and he came and spoke to me and told me that is what a sacred space is.